faith, and I guess how that relates to life and service.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Do you need more of a specific question than that, or you can talk about these?
Just
Yeah.
wind me up and let me go, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
He can edit out all the stuff that doesn't make any
Yeah,
sense,
we'll be-
you know.
we all
It's all digital. It's a beautiful thing.
It's a beautiful thing.
And the other thing I'm noticing is when you kind of, the more that you look up, the more light you get bouncing off of your lenses. So if you kind of stay kind of even or down a little bit,
Okay.
you should be fine.
Okay.
So.
All right.
It's recording. So
Oh.
Okay. Just think of all the tape.
Yeah.
Just think of all the tape we're losing right now.
Oh, man.
Going to come into the end of the loop here real quick.
Yeah.
We got 2 hours.
All
That's
right.
quick for you guys.
Well, hopefully I'm sure no one's going to watch a 2-hour video on this. So, yeah. Why in Christian service and MVS specifically have we made Jesus? Why do we focus on Jesus as the center of our faith
Mm-hmm.
for service?
Oh. Well, I mean, God calls us to be followers of Jesus Christ, and Jesus as the center of our faith. We get our example from Jesus. A very good example of that really comes from when at the Last Supper, Jesus gets down and he washes his disciples' feet, and he says, "I'm giving you this example for you to follow." And I think that when there are a number of cases where Jesus says, the things that you have seen me do, you will do these things and even greater things because I go to the Father. And there are many different ways in which we get our classic example, as disciples of Jesus, to be engaged in service. And there are many different ways of looking at service, because they can be, construction related. Service can be listening to someone and showing compassion and all that kind of stuff. But it's following the example of Jesus, who is the center of our faith. Then that's where Mennonite Voluntary Service basically takes its core, is the example that we see in Jesus. If Jesus were walking the streets of your city today, what would Jesus be doing? How would he be acting and interacting with the people that he comes in contact with?
Very good. All right, so in MVS we also emphasize community as being the center of our life.
Mm-hmm.
Why is that important for service as we are serving as followers of Christ?
Mm-hmm. Our faith is lived out in community. It is so important as we think about how we go about living our life as disciples of Jesus, as being Christians. Specifically in MVS, we typically live in households together, and we have the interaction with one another as we're, discussing faith issues, as we're talking about our placements and the way that we're challenged by different people. And just living in community is a challenge, because each person has their own ways of doing things. But it's really important, I think, that we understand ourselves as part of a larger body of Christ that is working at this collectively together. And I think particularly in America, we live in such an individualistic society, and no one really has the right to tell me what to do or anything. I'm my own individual and all that kind of stuff. And I think it is really important for us to understand in the context of community how our lives are shaped by others and how we participate in the shaping of other people's lives. Quite frankly, I need people around me so that, and an accountability group that I can say, these are the values that I hold, and I'm not really able to hold all of these values, to live up to these values all on my own. So I need a community around me that I can share what my perspectives are, what my values are, and to ask you to help me live in accountability to the things that I say I value.
Great.
Don't mind me, I'm just trying to get different angles and stuff. So. I want to try
Follow
from the
Will's.
corner. Yeah, Will's very adamant that we, and this is just a trial run, right?
Yeah, I mean, hopefully we'll be able to use this, but it's also chance to, in action, it's a lot easier for me to think about, start picturing what I would actually want this video to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think this is, right on. And I'm wondering if even just those 2 points would be enough for starting a conversation in the house, because that's the goal, is that they would watch this and then they could have that discussion of, what is it that we believe and how are we going to hold each other accountable to it. So, and I'm thinking that from like you and me, and hopefully we'll get Neil in here to interview before things get going, that we would talk about sort of and maybe that would be enough if it doesn't work at convention to get others, to talk about the core values of why it is modeled the way it is. And then hopefully have others fill in that gap from outside of Mission Network, to also sort of fit in around it.
And some people who aren't white males.
Exactly. That's the core, the key there, yeah.
You mean white males don't really make up all the participants in the service
Well.
programs?
No. Well,
We
a
have
lot of
those.
them. Yeah, but at convention we can get at the least Tanya and Jill at the minimum.
Would you be willing to answer those questions again? From, I think this angle is better in terms of the light coming off your glasses, just so we have something else to kind of mess with, since we're already set up.
Yeah. I like.
Unless you have more to.
No, I think
more to cover.
the more I'm thinking about it, I think if we just focused on those 2 simple questions, because the temptation is to, the more questions I add, the longer the video is, and I would prefer it to be
Shorter and
shorter
open-ended.
and open-ended than longer, and long enough that it gives them time to think, but not so long that they get bored.
Right.
And not too much of any one person talking, just to give it a little better weight.
And the other thing we could do is you could start with kind of Del saying who you are and what your role or connection to the don't remember if if you led with
Yeah,
that or
you
not.
didn't.
Didn't say who it was.
But
I
that
think-
might be helpful with the people that you're interviewing,
Mhm.
to kind of have them lead with
Yeah,
that.
well, I think actually, and we could use this for that, I think we'll have a separate video where